Yo, what's going on, you guys? Hope you guys are having yourselves a wonderful day. This video is just going to be talking about my latest updated build with how Lightfall is. If you guys don't know, there's a whole massive rehaul with all their mods and how the customization works. So this is just an updated one for not only Lightfall in general, but also just as an update for this season in particular, Season of the Defiance. If you guys enjoy this video, please consider dropping a like and also subscribing. I'm going to try and get at least one video out a week if I can with work and everything. But nonetheless, let's get right into the video. So, first thing I'm going to go over is my stasis fragments and how they all work. As always, I always run Gambler's Dodge, mainly because of my exotic I'm rocking, which is going to be the Dragon Shadow. Therefore, I don't have to worry about reloading. So, Gambler's Dodge, as you guys may or may not know, when you dodge your enemies, it automatically gives you a full melee ability, which plays into all of my perks. Triple Jump, just kind of my go-to as a hunter. I'm not a big fan of the strafe or the high jump. It just doesn't work that well to me. Withering Blade is part of the whole build. I like the whole shuriken insta-kill on the red border enemies. And freezing. Again, I'll get into all that right away here. I do Dustfield because I like having a massive area to trap players as well as or enemies, and also to make everything work. My two aspects I focus on: Grim Harvest, which gives defeating slowed or frozen combatants create stasis shards. These shards give me melee energy when you pick them up by myself or my teammates. Very critical when it comes to the future when I go over the fragments. My Touch of Winter aspect is the other perk I enjoy. My Glacier, Dustfield, or Cold Snap nades have enhanced functions. For me, the one I care about is the Dustfield. Increases slow field size and creates a small stasis crystal in the middle. So if I throw the grenade on enemies, a stasis shard will form right smack dab in the middle of the whole entire Dustfield nade. If an enemy's near it, they're instantly frozen. Shoot the crystal, boom, they're dead. Very critical and very helpful, especially when it comes to controlling ads. If you play the game mode Gambit long enough, like I do, with my 92 resets, you will learn all of the different choke points and spawns that make these dust fields very, very, very useful. So, that is my aspects. However, my fragments are probably just, if not, more important with the combination. My fragments I start off with Whisper of Hunger, increase my melee energy gained from picking up stasis crystals. So, in addition to getting melee energy from picking up stasis shards, I get even more with Whisper of Hunger. In addition to that, I also use Whisper of Rhyme. Collecting a stasis shard grants a small amount of overshield, which falls off after 10 seconds. Collecting additional shards adds to the overshield and refreshes the timer. Very important, especially if you're running for Protect the Runner. This helps me constantly stay alive while getting stasis shards, while getting melee energy, which all kind of stacks onto each other. Nearby stasis shards track to me, so I don't have to necessarily be right on the shard. It'll come right toward me as I create them. Whisper of Durance, slow from my abilities, lasts longer, such as my Dust Field, my Shuriken, and even my Stasis Super. Slow lasts longer. For those abilities that linger, their duration will also increase. So, for example, my Grenade. My Dust Field lasts even longer, therefore controlling a choke point even more. And lastly, Whisper of Refraction. Defeating slowed or frozen targets grants your class ability energy. Also very important, because then I can refresh my dodge, which then in turns gives me more melee, which gives me more shards. It's a very fun ability, circling abilities. It's insane. This part in particular has not changed from Lightfall, but I just wanted to go over this just so you guys know what it is. That being said, we're now going to go into the mods, which is probably the more important part. So, with Season of the Defiance, as you guys know, volatile rounds is a huge thing. So I always run volatile flow. I have on authorized mods void, which will help with later on the mods may go over it. I also have bricks from beyond. Defeating a powerful combatant with a void weapon has a chance to generate heavy, which is why I have so much heavy every time I play Gambit. The first time you break a combatant's shield, you create an orb of power. If you break it, matching, which doesn't happen as often as it should, as I probably should try in Gambit, but it still helps. In addition to that, I also have Void Weapon Channeling. You gain a temporary bonus to Void Weapon damage after you defeat a combatant with a Void Weapon, while at least one of your Void abilities is fully charged. I don't run Void abilities, but whenever I do run, say, Tether or a Spectral Blade, this is extremely helpful. um, that being said, I also have authorized mods on for grenades, should I want to play around with my grenades. But that's just for Guardian Seasonal Artifact. What about my actual mods? So, here is the different perks I now have on them. For starters, I have on my Strength mod for +3. I have a Void Siphon on rapid defeating weapon final blows. Void weapon, final blows generate orbs. Hands on gives me extra melee energy or super energy from melee kills, which I spam my shurikens all the time. And Heavy Ammo Finder. This is only cheap because I'm using this. When this season is over, this will probably change, and I will make a video later, or when the new season is out, on what I would change it to. I would likely change it to probably ashes to assets. I do get a lot of grenade kills with the dust field. The dust fields count as grenade kills, which is very good. On my arms, I also rock, in addition to the strength mod, I also put on heavy handed, which your powered melee final blows create orbs, so whenever I get a shuriken kill, it automatically gives me an orb. I also run shield break charge. Breaking combatant's shield grants with the matching armor gives me an armor charge. Now that being said, again, picking up orbs causes me to get volatile flow, making my likely suspect have volatile rounds. Very, very helpful. Now when it comes to my chest piece, which is Dragon Shadow, which again, if you guys don't know what it is, when you dodge, all your weapons reload and you increase both movement and weapon handling speeds for a brief time. When you dodge for the duration that Wraith Metal perk is on, which is I think about 10 to 15 seconds, somewhere in that range, you also get, in addition, plus 50 mobility during that time, which is why my mobility is only at 38. In addition to the grenade, or the discipline mod, I also run one of each arc, all 3 resistance. The reason why is because you never know what combatant's reversing. I'll always switch this around. So let's say, for example, I run into a Vex match. I'll slap on 2 Solars and 1 Void because most of it is Goblins and Hobgoblins, with a little bit of Void resistance for the Minotaurs. But I always change around with this. It all depends on what kind of enemy combatants they are. It can be anything and everything. When it comes to my legs, now this is one that's very important for me. Again, because I have the mod on the artifact for authorized mod Void, this is only at a 1 cost instead of a 3. Normally this is 3. So I wouldn't necessarily be running all 3 of these, I'd only have probably 1 of each. However, I run double kinetic weapon surge instead of double solar or anything else. The reason why is because this season in particular I've been doing a lot of invading. So if I invade with a weapon surge, my scout rifle does extra damage on top of the harmony, so it can actually do some pretty good serious damage. I also run a void weapon surge because I usually am running my likely suspect everywhere, therefore giving me more void damage and also causing more chaos. I run a small recovery on here just so that way I can have a little extra recovery. Lastly, my cloak. I have a Reaper mod on. Very, very, very important you run a Reaper mod. It is the most insane mod in the game until they nerf it. The reason why is because every time you use your class ability, so if you're a hunter, you dodge. If you're a warlock, you're rift. If you're a titan, you're barrier. After you use your class ability, your next weapon final blow creates an orb. Boom, you collect that orb, you have volatile rounds again, and it's a never-ending insane process. Bomber and Outreach I also run because, like I said before, grenade kills count towards Bomber. It also counts toward bounties with Dustfield. So if you kill enemies in the Dustfield, Bomber works. Outreach, like I said before, I spam my shurikens. This is very critical. If you guys are able to get a cloak with Artifice armor, recommend it because then you can get an extra mod slot and you can put on dilation. And if you're like me, you dial your mobility back a little bit. to just a or a level 1, because then you'd have more room for it all. Now when it comes to weapons, that hasn't really changed much, but for those of you guys who don't know what my weapons are, I run a Servant Leader with Harmony and Rapid Hit, Accurized Rounds, and Hammerforged Rifling. I could do small bore, but I prefer the rifle, or the Hammerforged. I put on my respect just so we can deal with the ads. I run a Likely Suspect. Very underrated fusion rifle if you can unlock it from Witch Queen by just doing Witch Queen stuff. I have it crafted with Hammerforged, Liquid Coils, Heating Up, and Adagio. This is a high firing fusion rifle as it is, or charge time fusion rifle. Sorry, low charging fusion rifle. 500 charge time. You get a kill with it. Adagio procs. It slows a little bit slower, but you don't really notice it because it's not that slow. It will then map red borders better than Zer's main ingredient that we got a long time ago. It also has major spec on it just for the sake of dealing with it. And sustained damage from this weapon lowers the target's damage output for a short duration. Very helpful when you use it against enemies such as a Hydra in Gambit. Very, very helpful. In addition to that, as I always usually do and everyone else nowadays, I run Gallowhorn. Usually my go-to for invading, but my Servant Leader is a very close second. I get a kill with Gallowhorn, Harmony procs on my Servant Leader. Next thing you know, this extra damage output until I get my next kill. Very, very helpful. For a short duration, I might add. But however, I get this proc. I suddenly have double kinetic weapon surge. Boom, I have massive amounts of results. Very helpful, very useful. I also use Eager Edge when it comes to using Protect the Runner if I'm the runner. I have on a Retrofit Escapade if I need DPS. Very good damage output still, in my opinion. I also put on Forbearance sometimes if I need it with Ambitious and Chain Reaction. Very strong alternative. But yeah, that being said, you guys, that's my build. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you did, consider giving a like to the video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. And yeah, I do Gambit Helps on Twitch. Link will be in the description down below. Please consider coming by if you need Gambit Helps. I would love to help you guys out. We are closing in on almost 50 people for malfeasance, and we're almost at 60 now for people to help them get Protect the Runner. Please consider coming by, drop a follow if you're interested in checking that out. But that being said, have yourselves a wonderful day, you guys, and thanks for hanging out. See ya.